of optional feature. Key assignment. Okay. Does our radio have, this radio model has the ABC buttons. The radio I'm using has the 12 keypad. Notice it changed, it's got the telephone keypad. Primary function, keypad operation, we're going to leave that none. Actually, if we are going to use keys, we would go to auto dial. Emergency function, if you're using that, we're not using that today. Key lock. What do you want to be locked when you turn on the key lock? I want the selector locked. I want the front keys locked, the top keys locked, the mic key, but not the push to talk, and I don't want the volume. I want to be able to control those when it's in locked mode. Okay. As I mentioned before, you have up to 16 channels, and you can stop at 16, or in my case, I took the stopper out, and it can rotate completely. If I have the stopper, I want the 16 in there. If I don't, I want that removed. Now, I can tell it what I want that button or that knob to do. In this case, it's going to go channel up and down. Now, one of the next features, very popular with my customers, is this, having this one right here being the lock key. Unlock, lock. How do you do that? Leave that as none, come down here and go to key lock. Now that is activated. You notice it's highlighted in red when you select that button. Come over to the aux key. That's the orange key up here. It's highlighted in red. You can make it do all kinds of stuff. Now let's find out what all these options do. We're going to go over up here to our help. I'll go back to context. I'm going to close that again. I'm going to do it again. Let's see if it takes me. Good. It took me directly to key assignment because that's where I was in the main thing. So it took me right there. So now I'm going to go to key assignment. One of these, well, here's a list. But that's not a big list. I want the other list. I'm going to have to go find it. Where's the list? Nope. Alright. One of these has the list. Here it is. Key function list. So key function list is under key assignment, primary, second, where was it? Second function, key function list. Here's what each one does, what two-tone does, the description, and some extra remarks. And they give all of this stuff that you can do, because this is the most advanced radio they have. I'm going to close that. We're going to go over some of the more popular features. Alright, I'm going to do side one up here. That's the blue key. I'm going to make it do GPS position display. If I push and hold the button, I want it to do GPS. That will actually turn it on and off. Okay, so you can see up here, do I have it on? Okay, so that little flashing thing looks like a satellite is looking for GPS. When it goes solid, it's found it. And if I push my GPS button and it's found it, it'll give me all kinds of numbers, altitude, and all that jazz. If I push and hold it, it turns it off. So GPS just went off. Okay, so now that I have that selected, let's go back to optional features GPS or 2. Let's go to GPS Bluetooth. Now this is now non-grayed out, so we can now play with it. So we want feet. You can do all the couple of different decimal settings for your display. Now we can go back to key assignment. back to where we were. We were at GPS, and okay. They've selected squelch off momentarily. If you push that button, it goes at you. I don't like to use that. I'm just going to make it none for right now. This one, I'm going to make it none. Alright, this is that secondary thing we were talking about. If you selected secondary for an individual channel, then whatever you have these buttons do, these buttons will do. It gets very confusing. Don't recommend it. Okay, we're going to go to the front. Now we're looking at the up arrow. I like the up arrow to be zone up, down one to be zone down. Left, most people put it as in channel, so I'm going to go hit the C button, come down, find channel up, go to the right, channel down, and then you notice it automatically says continuous. So if you hold the button down, keeps ramping all my zones. Menu, which is the menu key, and then whatever you have up here in the menu section will be displayed. Back button. You can have it as a back button, and it does back button when you're in the menu. When you're in the menu mode, I'd like to use it as the scan key because there's no S on this radio. And then over here for the hold, I like to do. Where is it? Scan, delete, add. So if you hit the S button, I've got to have a zone that's. Hang on. Oh, yeah, okay. Little scan symbol appears when I hit the scan button. If I push and hold it, a couple of chevrons appear on the screen. That means it's in the scan list. Push and hold it, they disappear. It's out of the scan list. Function. I don't usually use functions. I usually leave that as none. Home. This is a good one to use for direct channel. Direct channel 1. That takes you directly to whatever you put in direct channel. Zone 1, channel 1, for example. If you want direct channel 2, if you push and hold it, I like to use direct channel 2. You push and hold it, it takes you whatever zone you want. If you're a popular channel on zone 3, channel 5, you can program it to do that, and you do that up here. So I would go 1 and 1. I would go 3 and 1. There we go. Alright, back to front. This was an ABC radio. ABC would appear and I could put stuff in there. Again, secondary function, don't want to deal with that. Mic key. If your microphone has keys on it, you can program them to do stuff. Don't worry about call. Here's that direct channel again. This is our menu. For fun, we're gonna create a new one. Category 5, we're gonna call it test. Icon list. I can make it any kind of icon I want. And then we're going to come over here. We're going to put these functions, these are the same as the key functions. We're going to put them in there. I can just pick whatever I want. Remember to go to that key function list to find out what all these do. Characters, don't really need to mess with that. Don't need to mess with that either. So that's key assignment. Scan. Shouldn't have to mess with this too much. If you want to change your timing options, dropout time, dwell time, that's the main thing you can do here. If you wanted to start scanning every time you turn on, some people like that, you can do that here. There's some other stuff in here. Site roaming, we're not doing that. That's special features. Single zone, can't do anything here. Multi-zone, I don't really mess with this. if you see revert channel, I like selected, that's the channel that I was on when I hit my scan button, so when I grab it, push to talk, I know that that's the channel it's going to talk on. If you select one of these other ones, like last called, then for the 3 seconds or whatever you pre-program, call comes in, you grab your radio, you push to talk, you're going to talk back to that channel that came in. Some people like to do that. All right, that's multi-zone. Let's see. Oh, that's okay. That was multi-zone. Scan list. I don't really mess with this because you can edit your own list using that add delete button. So I don't even mess with that. LTR. That's a trunking feature. That's dealer. So don't mess with it. DTMF. If you have the TTF model, you can do some stuff in here. If these are more advanced features, stun code. If you want to put a stun code in every one of your radios, that's where you would put it. You'd put a unique one into your radio, and then if you hold the button down and push the keypad, it will send that to that radio if it's on the right channel. And here's its stun code. It will do whatever you put here. You can either have it transmit inhibit, or you can have it transceiver inhibit. Transceiver means it won't receive anything either until it gets the stun code back plus the pound key. So the code to stun it, code pound key to unstun it. Some LED features, clear to transpond if you want to do that. Auto dial list if you're going to get, if you have a repeater or whatever that has a telephone interconnect, you can pre-program telephone numbers if you want. Okay, so that's DTMF. Two-tone paging, very common with, notice it has analog and digital. We're going to deal with the analog. This is stuff you kind of already have to know. So these right here are your basic numbers that you have to know what they are. This radio can encode it, which means it transmits one, so you can basically turn one of these into its own little mini console. It's very fancy. But most people will be doing with the decode. Again, these are parameters you're going to have to know how to put in here. If you go back to the zone, and we're going to go channel edit, we're going to make this optional signaling, two-tone number 1. So whatever you put in, here, that's what it's looking at. Two-tone 2, two-tone 3, 4, so on and so forth. Decode. So, like I said, you have to know what you're kind of doing with that. Here's number 2, 3, and 4. Decode, two-tone frequency tolerance. Okay, don't know much about that. You'll have to know what you're doing to do that. That's two-tone. Next, we have MDC. More MDC programming information. This is more advanced. You're going to have to know what this is. Although I can tell you, caller ID display will then show the number of the unit that's calling you. The nice thing about Kenwood's NXDN is it comes from the radio that's making the call. On P25 and MDC and FleetSync too, which is Kenwood's analog equivalent to MDC, you have to create your own list in the radio. And so if Bob got changed to Jack, you'd have to go and reprogram everybody's radio to know that decode Jack. In the NXDN world, you just have to change Bob's radio to Jack, one reprogramming, and you're off and running. Here's the ID list. So you would come in here, individual call, and this is where you put in all that information, and then this is where you can put the alias, and like I said, the alias would then appear on the screen.